I think trauma and all that stuff, not aside, but forefront, right? Yo, Des, you don't know what I've been through. Yo, Des, you don't know what it was like growing up and everything. Yo, I feel you. Nevertheless, you still have to be coachable.
Welcome to the Speaking for Profit podcast, good people. I'm Benton, the Speaking for Profit coach, and today's conversation is going to leave you inspired. I am actually sitting here with one of my amazing clients, Desmond Davis, and we're going to talk about solutions, how to get clarity as a leader, and really the work that he is doing to support organizations and individuals with making their life great. I want to just tell y'all a little bit about Desmond before we get into the interview. Desmond is the founder of Davis Inspired Solutions and the host of the Inspired House podcast. He helps businesses build their young talent to streamline success and possess better work-life harmony. So if you are a person who be sitting at work and you be thinking every day, you know what, I need to go on and quit this job. Or maybe you just know for yourself that you spend more time at work than at home. Or maybe it's the opposite and you spend more time at home than at work. We're going to talk about how you can find balance, how you can avoid burnout, and how you can take your business and life to the next level. If you are listening on Apple or Spotify or anywhere in your car, please be safe, number one. But go on and make sure that you subscribe to this amazing show. And if you're watching on YouTube, give us a like, give us a holler, and make sure you put some things in the comments. Engage in this conversation. Tell us right now, are you experiencing work-life harmony or not? All right, y'all, I'm going to bring my amazing guest to the stage. Welcome to the space, Desmond.
Hey, Coach E, thank you so much for having me. It is great to be with you.
Oh, man. You know, the only thing that we're really missing here, Desmond, is Joy. If Joy was here, then it would be really an official interview. And for folks who don't know, Joy is Desmond's amazing daughter and a part of Speaking for Profit Junior, I think officially, right?
Oh, yeah, that's the whole fact. That is the whole fact. That's a whole fact. Joy is my baby girl, just a bright spot in me and my wife's life, and just kind of really one of my many whys and why I'm doing what I'm doing. And so one of the biggest pushes and reasons why I even joined Speaking for Profit, right? And kind of taking those next steps. So yeah, so Joy is definitely a part of the family for sure.
Definitely. So tell me, Desmond, because I don't know a lot about you before I started working with you. So this is going to be a fun interview. And it's always interesting when I meet clients who have offers that are around harmony or wellness or balance, right? Because what I find is that's some of the work I do with organizations. And oftentimes it's because I had a time in my life where I didn't have it, right? I didn't have balance. I didn't have boundaries. So tell me, one, what brings you joy in the work that you do? And two, how did you find your relationship to work-life harmony?
Those are some good questions. Okay. All right. So we starting out hot. All right. Definitely. Let me get my interview face ready and going. But I'm with you. But I think for me, honestly, Coach, again, first off, Desmond Davis, he, him pronouns. I am the founder of Davis Inspired Solutions and the host of the Inspired House podcast. Like Coach E said, I'm also part of the Speaking for Profit community, the course, the curriculum, the lifestyle, right? Because it's all of that, to be truthful. And I think going to your question, I just wanted to make sure I had that established from the get-go. Going to your question, I think what brings me joy is honestly clarity. It's this idea of knowing what I'm meant to do, right? And then executing that at the highest level possible, because that's all encompassing. Right. That isn't just, it's me speaking or it's me doing a podcast, or it's me being a husband, or it's me being a father, or it's me being a good son or Christian or mentor. It's all those things and kind of excelling to the best I can at all of those things. Because I think that's really honestly what brings me joy, because I know that I'm showing up the best in all those spaces, I would say. So I think that's kind of what really brings me joy, is that I can put my head down at night and being like, yep, this was one of those days, like Kobe. All right. Like, rest in peace to the late great Mamba. I know, like, yo, I did my thing. I put in the work, And when it was time to show up, I showed up and the results were there. So I think those are some of the things I would say that bring me joy.
So your own, what you're saying, Desmond, is your own work-life harmony, right? Brings you joy, right? Knowing that you're putting in the good work as a business owner, but you're also committing to all the different identities that you hold, not just for yourself, but for other people, which is really, really cool. So what is work-life harmony? What does that really mean? Because, I think some people might be listening to this and, they might be calling out Cap. Like, ain't no such thing as no harmony when it comes to work and life. So can you explain to our audience, what does that mean to you? And what does that mean to someone who's trying to accomplish it?
I think that's a really great question. And I think you're right. For the people who are listening and they're saying, oh, that's Cap, right? I think you're not wrong. I think you just got the wrong word in mind. I don't think there's no such thing as work-life balance. I think any good entrepreneur, any good leader, any good communicator, it's not just only in communication. It's not just what you promote, but it's also what you repeatedly attack, what you repeatedly throw stones at, right? We talk about like David and Goliath. What's your giant? What's your Goliath? My Goliath, my giant that I'm attacking is this concept of work-life balance, because it doesn't exist. So let's first establish that. You're correct. Work-life balance is made up. That's not a real thing. Harmony, on the other hand, I think is more of a give and take. It's more of a push and pull, yin and yang. And so when I think of work-life harmony, I'm thinking of the rhythm in which I'm able to process my work and execute my work, the way in which I'm able to process and execute how I go about being a family man, how I go about socializing and all those things, right? And I think the key point in harmony is that if you're establishing harmony, that means there have had to been some friction at one point. And now that friction has been resolved and has come to a place where now we can kind of coexist in a way. And you might have to revisit that, right? So I'm married. Me and my wife, Val, been together for, at the point of this recording, 5 years, going on 6 years, right? And
shouts out to Val.
Yes. Love you, baby, if you're watching this, right? Hopefully you let me go see the next Marvel movie because I did this. Love you. But the idea of harmony, Coach, is that with me and my wife, there's this relationship where sometimes there might be friction, but there is always coming back to this sense of togetherness where we find a way to sort of make it work and things get harmonious. There is an ebb and a flow, and life is able to happen. So I think if I had to sum it up in one phrase, it's you're able to figure out these things in a way where now you're able to commit and really walk out life. You're not just stuck in one thing or the other. And balance will try to make you do that. Well, I need to balance this. This work needs to be on the same par as my family. And it doesn't need to be. Sometimes family, right, is going to be higher than work. Sometimes you might be in a season where you got to really crank out a project. So right now, hey, babe, I love you. Joy, you're baby girl, I love you so much. Daddy's going to have to lock himself away for tonight, and he really has to crank out this project. So right in that moment now, work has to come here. Family has to sort of come here. And again, it's a temporary thing. And it's kind of doing this type of thing so that life can happen. But if you try to keep these things balanced and it's always the same, you're not going to make it.
I love that you mentioned the friction, right, that comes with harmony. And you looking fly today. I just wanted to let you know I like this money green. I might have to come in your closet at some point and, still a couple of things. But the harmony that you're mentioning, I find, Desmond, that so many leaders struggle with it because organizations aren't really set up for people to be successful in that way, right? So when I was working in higher education, there was often angry people who were at the top, right? Top pay, positionality. I wouldn't say top experience, right? Because you got a lot of responsibilities and a lot of bullshit you got to deal with. But the great thing about it was that when I would see people like that, I would be like, where in their life do they not have power? Because if you're exploiting power here, that means maybe at home things aren't going well. Or maybe when you're with your boss, you're being treated in a particular way. So I think this is so great because the work that you're going to be able to do as you build this is going to heal not just one generation, but several. And I know that you kind of focus right, on the younger folks. But I think your path is going to even help some of the folks who are about to retire in the next few years to understand there is no balance, right? Like, you really just have to find harmony in the situation. So let's talk a little bit about you working with organizations. When you go in and you work with orgs, what do you do, right? How do you support them? And then how is that different from some of the work that you're doing as a coach with individuals?
Definitely. I think, Coach E, with what you're saying, in terms of me and what I do with organizations, when I go in and I work with an organization, my biggest goal is to kind of get a taste and a feel and a sense of what the culture is, right? Because when we're looking at organizational culture, that will dictate the level of harmony somebody can have, right? And if you don't want to use harmony, I think another word that we can interchange with, especially for those folk who are musically inclined, is rhythm, right? The rhythm might change from song to song. And so when I'm working with an organization, a lot of the work that I focus on is to first get an understanding of the culture. So I might do some interviews. I might do some assessments. I'm going to compare and contrast what the top leaders are saying compared to somebody who's entry level and seeing, okay, where is the gap kind of showing up in? Because oftentimes the reason why my work ends up being valuable to organizations is because I'm able to figure out where the communication gap is. I'm able to figure out where the perspectives, right, of maybe the CEO or the manager isn't really aligned with the perspective of the entry level employee or the temp agent person or someone who's coming in and doing some type of work. So for me, I go in, I figure out what the culture is, and based off of that, a little bit of what I do sort of with my clients shows up in this work. I follow up with starting asking transformational questions, right? Because if we can't get the leaders, if I can't get the organization to get from the defensive place, right, or to get from a place where it's like we need to figure this out, we need to do this right now, no matter what solution I give them, it can be the best solution. It can be, okay, cool. What you need to do is establish a life skills curriculum in your organization, because right now you have people that are getting burnt out. And I'll be like, okay, cool, we'll do that right away, right? And they're just doing stuff. That doesn't help. My goal is trying to get to this place of asking transformational questions so that the organization taps into something that's curiosity. Because if you can get really curious, right? If you can stop looking at the problem and the issue only as the problem and the issue and being like, oh, we need to make this stop. If you can go from a place of that, or a place of, if you want to, even shame or guilt, because sometimes you might have an organizational culture where it's like, I'm so ashamed of this, I feel bad as a leader. That's all well in the beginning, but in the long run, that doesn't help anybody. So if you can go from a place of shame and guilt to curiosity, and you start observing, what am I doing as a leader? Where is my perspective not connecting? Is my perspective outdated? Right. I haven't been out there in the entry level streets like that the way I used to. Right. I had to grind to get here. But who do I still connect with to help keep me current? And so I think that's where I come in to ask those transformational questions, which then leads to those outcomes, which then leads to those plans, that procedure, that kind of 10 steps that we're going to do to get us back on track and push a new culture and let a new culture come out of the old culture, where it's like, okay, now we're looking at a place of how can we make sure that our people are holistically well? Because when people are holistically well, you're going to get better productivity. You're going to get better products. You're going to get better sales because people are showing up a lot more holistically well. But it starts with the culture. It goes then to asking those transformational questions, which leads to curiosity, right? And then it leads to that producing of productivity.
I love it. I love it. So I don't know if I told you this, Desmond, but I was on a call with a bunch of millionaires. Did I tell you about this?
Mm-hmm.
So I joined this.
Why wasn't I on that call?
I don't even know how I ended up there, but I was thankful. So I seen this really cool offer that one of my old coaches put out. He's doing this thing called the Financial OS. And essentially it's a system he built out on Airtable where you could put all of your assets and your liabilities as far as money. So you can see a clear picture of what do you have going on? What are you bringing in? What's your debt? But what's cool is it divides it between business and personal, right? So you can see a little bit of that. Anyways, that's the system. So I was like, I'm going to join this because it was a real reasonable price. And I know him. When he say beta, he mean beta. And it's triple the cost of when I joined. This was just last month. That's a whole nother thing. So he attracted a bunch of millionaires because he's a millionaire. And I'm on this call with them and we go into breakout groups. And one of them is like, so y'all, I met a billionaire. And I'm sitting there like, I'm already overwhelmed being in a room full of millionaires. And now this man about to tell me about a billionaire story. So he said he asked the billionaire, he said his company's growing. What are some, information he can give him to get from $1 million to $1 billion? And the billionaire said, sales is the most important. Make sure your sales team is taken care of each other. And he said, what do you mean by that? He said, one of my sales members had a divorce. I got him a divorce therapist. One of my other salespeople lost his daughter in a car accident. I got him a grief therapist, right? Like they're thinking about the holistic health of everyone in that company because they know if their sales team falls apart, their business is going to fall apart. So he didn't talk to him about no strategies. He just said, make sure that you take care of your team. And I feel like that's what you're speaking about, right? Like if we can holistically as leaders, as CEOs, as family members, take care of the tribe, then everything's going to be okay. But when we stop taking care of one another, that's when all of it goes out of the door. So I love your framework and I love your concept because believe it or not, it's $1 billion idea.
Boy, hey, I repeat all of that. Thank you. Can I say just one more thing into what you mentioned before? I love how you also mentioned before you asked me the question about the organizations, how there's a lot of leaders who lack power in a place and then will try to overcompensate with power in another place or trying to put on power or trying to like really kind of run roughshod. And I think that is something really worth mentioning that one, when you think about your team and you gave a great example of that call you were on and that person who's a millionaire who was talking with the billionaire and taking care of their team, that could easily have been, oh, well, this type of person, they went through this. I might just have to get them up out of there. And you can make the false assumption in terms of if I was able to find this salesperson and they were so great, I'm sure I can find another.
Exactly.
Right. And you can easily put energy into replacing instead of taking care of. And I think you made a great point when you said how it's almost like family, how it's almost like relationship. If I'm not taking the time to be curious and observe my wife, if I'm not taking time to be curious and observe my kid and observe the interests, the likes and the dislikes, the things that get them excited, the things that maybe ruffle their feathers, I can't expect then to show up and create these moments for them or or better yet, to experience these moments with them, which if we're talking in business is success, right? If I only know someone to a surface level. I think the writer, the speaker, Simon Sinek, he talked about how back in the day, there was this expectation where work was almost like you went to work to do work. You went to your bowling league for social connections. You went to your church for meaning and everything else. And now through the process of time and through the process, I would argue, of just capitalism, if we want to go there, there is this expectation that you find all of that now at your work. Whether it's fair or unfair is a whole different discussion. But I do think if you're coming in as a leader and you have people who follow you and you're not ready to commit to that level where you might have to be the chief people officer and you're making sure that your people are holistically good, right? And that it's not just only about the numbers, business, but making sure that your people are good. You can't expect to keep a healthy team. You might be able to create a healthy team, right? Or a productive team, but that team's not going to become a dynasty if you're not taking care of your people. And so when you said that, it made me think of that. And I wanted to make sure before I forgot.
Oh, thank you so much for sharing. I love that you always bring up a dynasty. You know, I love basketball, so we could talk about dynasties all day. You know, being from LA, you know, we got one of them dynasty type of things. But I just think it's so important, Desmond, for us to really support entrepreneurs, right? Because we have folks who are listening to this who are aspiring speakers, aspiring consultants, some folks who want to just like start their own brand. A lot of times people think about this and they're like, $1 billion, that's not me. $1 million, that's not me. But you're a leader, right? You're a leader of your household. You're a leader of your business. And eventually you're going to have a team member if you're blessed to have one. Attention public speakers, coaches, and consultants. Ever dreamt of booking 5-figure speaking and consulting contracts? In just 5 days, I'm teaching my tried and tested system to elevate your speaking and consulting business. Forget the cold emails, bypass the salesy pitches. This challenge is about building genuine high-value connections. And here's a promise I have for you. With a commitment of just 1 to 2 hours a day for 5 days, you're going to witness transformative results. On day 1, you'll learn how to craft a business strategy without cold emails or paying to speak. Day 2 is all about you redefining your profile to attract decision makers ready to invest in your expertise. By day 3, you'll have your very own 5-figure sales system to turn contacts into clients. By day 4, we will have you automating your funnel with proven templates and scripts. And day 5, I'm going to teach you how to master the art of discovery calls with a step-by-step checklist and exclusive 5-figure sales secrets. Whether you're just stepping onto the speaking scene or you're a seasoned pro, this challenge is tailor-made for you. I'm going to teach you the exact strategies that have helped me help my clients make over $2 million in the last 2 years. The journey to a thriving 5-figure speaking and consulting business begins with this challenge. So are you ready to redefine your limits, accelerate your growth, and bask in the limelight of your success? I want you to join the 5 Days to 5-Figure Speaking Challenge now. Let's rewrite your success story together. Simply head over to speakingforprofit.com. You're going to click that button that says 5 Days to 5-Figure Speaking Gigs so you can get started with the challenge. Can't wait to see you there. All right, now back to the show. So you got to start thinking about these strategies now, because the only reason I think that person got to $1 billion is because they had those type of thoughts, right? Like, that's what he was saying. He's like, you don't need no strategy. If you make it $1 million, you can make $1 billion. Like, I'm not going to give you a blueprint of sell more, of do this. No, take care of people, right? And that was the lesson from there. So let's pivot a little bit and talk about the speaking side of your business, right? Because you got a pretty cool contract. We were talking about it recently. I know you still got it. Did you sign it? Is it signed? Is it official?
End of next week, everything will be official.
All right, cool. So, and that was great because it was a bag, but also it was through your warm network, correct?
Mm-hmm.
Definitely. So let's talk a little bit about, 1, how did it feel to secure that contract? And 2, what are some tips that you can give other speakers about the power of utilizing your warm network to find paid opportunities to share your expertise? So how did it feel? And then strategies on using the warm network.
I guess I would say the feeling of how it felt was, 1, it felt amazing, but I don't know if you can even describe this as a feeling, but I felt justified. Right? So, for instance, like I said, I'm a part of the Speaking for Profit family, right? I'm a part of this cohort, this team, and it's an investment, right? Because you're getting really dope quality. And so when I was able to turn what I've learned into a paid opportunity, and a fairly substantial paid opportunity also, I felt justified in, okay, I made the investment and I'm seeing the return on my investment now. So I think the feeling is, 1, being good, and then feeling justified. 1, of course, I'm going to start with justified to myself of like, yes, Desmond, you took a chance and it was a calculated chance. And now that chance is paying off, and it's going to continue to pay off, because that's not just going to be the only engagement. But also, I think for the people who I lead, right, I have a little team, but I think also my family and my friends, where I'm kind of the first one stepping out as that entrepreneur, as that speaker. There was when I told them, hey, y'all, I'm about to make this investment. I'm going to be pursuing this and be working with Evolve and doing that whole thing. There was this thing of like, oh, that's a pretty big investment. Are you sure? And now there was this justification of like, hey, y'all, this is what happened. Just got this. Wow, that's really paying off. It's like, yeah, I had to take that risk, and now it's being justified. And so I say that would be sort of the feeling. And I would say, in terms of working with a warm lead, again, if you notice, you're going to see a theme of connection. You're going to see a theme in this whole conversation of the relationships that you build. We talk about how a healthy business is built and how you go from millions to billions, right? And I'm not at millions yet, but I will be. And then I'll be.
You better speak it. Yeah.
Right. Right. But I know it comes from relationships. I know it comes from taking care of my people, taking care of my team. And the first business that you have is you. You're a business. So even if you don't have a LLC or whatever, the relationships you build, you would be surprised a year from now, 5 years from now, whatever, where people are and how your relationship with them can be the bridge that gets you from point A to point B, or it could be the gap that can separate you from the bag. And so I think with warm leads and the connections that I have, I never played funny with people. I would check in. I would check and talk with alumni and folk like that. And as I started taking my own work more seriously, producing content, making videos, doing the podcast, it was off the strength of that and off the strength of implementing the system and stuff that we talked about, Evolve, in class and in our coaching sessions, and using that as a way of creating content that people were like, yo, this is really great. Do you think you would be able to do a talk for this thing I have going on? I could really use kind of some filler space that's like meaningful. So I did it. I went there. I did a 30-minute talk, and that's what turned into, yo, that was amazing. Do you think you can come and headline our conference? And that was off the strength of that warm lead, off the strength of building those connections, off the strength of just authentically caring about people holistically. And that's what led to that success. And that's what's going to lead to continued success.
I love that. I love that you threaded that you did pretty much a free talk, right, for this opportunity, because people sometimes get mistaken. They're like, you, Bob, you say don't do anything for free. That's not what I say. I say don't do anything for free without strategy. You got to have a strategy behind it, right? If you just getting up there and you just speaking for free and you not over delivering, you don't have any type of follow-up process, it's not going to really work for you. And the one thing I want to thank you for being, Desmond, is coachable. I worked with a lot of Christian cis men last year who were not coachable. And I don't know if it's because of who I am. I don't know if it's because of things that's in their life, but it's been refreshing to work with you. I almost was to the point where I was going to put on the internet, if you're straight and you're black, man, don't come over here.
No.
I'm serious. And you know what the thing is this, and I'll share this on the podcast. I don't even know if I've ever shared this before. I love black men. I love y'all so much. Like, I grew up with y'all. I played video games with y'all. I played basketball with y'all. I love y'all. So when that happened to me in that experience, I really felt bad. I was like, damn, am I not like coaching these folks? Am I not doing right? And then I met you and you was ready to go. Like, it took some time. We had several conversations, y'all. Like, that's the other thing. People think like you just get on a call, people just ready to go. You have to be patient, whether it's you're speaking, you're consulting, you're coaching, you have to be persistent and you have to let people find their time. But when you were ready, you were like, I'm ready. You listened, you showed up, and you always hit me up every day. Hey, this is going on, coach. I got this to celebrate. Like, you're very communicative and you're very coachable. So what that tells me is when I get an opportunity and I can't make it, I can hit up Desmond and he's going to be reliable. If I got a bag and it's big and I need someone to split it with, I can hit up Desmond, right? And you always bring your family and joy and everyone into the space. So we know when we pass you an opportunity, it's not just going to you, it's going to the whole tribe. So I just want to give you kudos for being coachable and for having a framework that not only is going to be about you, but that's going to end up really saving the world. Because I don't know if you've seen, but what's going on in the workplace right now, not just people being laid off, but the way that people are being treated, they're going to need some type of work-life harmony. They're going to need some type of harmony, some type of support, and they're going to be calling on you.
We're here. And Coach E, thank you, one, for that, and seeing and recognizing that. I do think there really is, if I can for a second, there really is a need, I think, for my brothers out there, like, yo, we really have to do a better job of being more coachable. I think trauma and all that stuff, not aside, but forefront, right? Yo, Des, you don't know what I've been through. Yo, Des, you don't know what it was like growing up and everything. Yo, I feel you. Nevertheless, you still have to be coachable, right? We can't always like lean back and And remember when we like growing up, like you played tag, right? And you be getting chased by someone and you would, I don't know if you did this, but I would do like the 1, 2, 3 base all over me, right? And it's like,
Yep.
can't get you. I think sometimes, right? And I know this isn't the direction of the conversation, but if you just entertain me for a second, I really think we can 1, 2, 3 base all over me with our trauma. If we can be like, oh, I can't, oh no, you don't understand what I've been through. And it's like, even if I do understand what you've been through, are you still going to be coachable? What if I do understand, right? What if everything lines up and you have no excuse? Are you still going to execute, right? Because even with that free thing that I did, I had everything worked out. I wasn't at work. I had my camera and everything set up. I was ready to go. But if I were to let the one thing of it being free get in the way, then I potentially don't over deliver. That ends up being a warm lead or connection that's like, oh, well, yeah, he did good. That was cool. Thanks a lot. But because I over delivered and because I took the time to be coachable and I said, yo, Coach E, this is what they want me to do. Boom, boom, boom. We had a conversation. You were like, okay, look, now you can do this. Make sure you over deliver. Don't make this don't make it a habit of doing free and not over delivering and not having a follow-up system in a way of getting something out of it, and make sure you follow up after. And I did all those things, and that's what led to the bag. But like you were saying, if I'm not coachable, I don't receive that. And if I'm not coachable, I don't get the mindset shift of, oh no, even if I'm not getting something monetarily, I'm getting something in, if you look at my YouTube page or my Instagram page, my content's kind of dope. Like I'll give you content where I'm doing face-to-face, I'm doing podcasts, I'm doing interviews. I'm also being the content where I took recordings of that actual talk and I made content around it, right? And if I don't have that mindset of there's opportunity and there's wealth and there's value in anything that I do, whether it's monetarily or not, right? If I don't have that mindset, I mess around and fumble the bag and I fumble opportunities. And now I fall into that place of, and folk who are listening, and I'm sorry I'm going on a tangent, if you're tired of being the person who is like, I just feel like no matter what I do, they always want me to come and speak for free. It's because you give speak for free quality.
Woo! Say it again.
If you're tired of speaking for free, stop giving speak for free quality. And you might feel nervous and angst sometimes to wanna like actually name a price. But if you really put yourself forward, if you build community around you, if you holistically get better at what you do and really hone in your craft, me and Evolve, we love Kobe Bryant, rest in peace, right? Dude honed in his craft and he wasn't no 6'9" LeBron James, right? He pushed, I think it was Gilbert Arenas who said in a podcast, Coach Evolve, he said that Kobe Bryant pushed his body like it was a Bugatti, even though it might have been just a Mercedes-Benz.
Yep, exactly. Yep. And he did.
Yeah. So if you're not willing to do that, right? If you're not willing to put forth that effort, you can't be mad about the results that you get. And if people don't want to coach you, it might be because you're not being coachable. And there's a lot of reasons why we cannot be coachable, but there's even more reasons why we can deal with those things and make ourselves coachable despite what we go through.
Y'all, this is why I love my clients. You make me so proud, but you preach. That's why. And, most of our coaching calls are preaching anyway. So, what's really exciting, Desmond, when you got that bag, I know you mentioned, being justified. Have you gotten paid more than that before? And y'all, we're talking about a 5-figure bag, just so folks know. Have you gotten paid before that, more than that?
No.
Okay. So what I got excited about, Desmond, and I don't know if you did, but I was like, this the new price. This the new price. Because we're not going down. We're not going down, right? We get a job. When you get a job right now, you got a salary. If someone offered you the same job for $10,000 less, would you take it?
Oh, no.
No. So this is the new rate, right? So I get excited about the future money as well. That's for you in the future bag and the future standard that you have in your mind. Right now, the process and you can go do it over and over again. So it's going to be a really cool opportunity for you. I can't wait to see you document. I can't wait for you to officially sign the contract and for more money, but also for more confidence to ask for more. Not just more money, but like more from the organization, because imagine how much change you can make when you build that know, like, and trust, which is going to be really cool. So you mentioned your podcast. You also mentioned your YouTube. Tell folks a little bit about the show, what you have going on, and what inspired you to create it.
Definitely. So the social media, the podcast and everything, it's called The Inspired House with Desmond Davis. Excuse me. And so even though I'm the founder of the Davis Inspired Solutions kind of LLC, that's really the hub and the foundation. And from that hub and foundation is going to come other type of entities, other type of things. And so right now we started and established the Inspired House podcast. And the goal of this really, honestly, Evolve, was my background was higher education. Went from graduating college.
Me too. Woo, woo.
Right? Shout out again. I say this every time to someone who's in higher ed. Shout out to the higher ed professionals, right?
Shout out to them, bro.
Because even though there's like all these checks and balances and the people in government are doing whatever the ham sandwich they're doing in government, higher ed can sometimes be the Wild West, right? Like I'm still surprised to this day, Evolve, that there is not a reality TV show about higher education in terms of like dorm directors and just all the like we might need to, because it gets wild. And so from that, I really found my passion of wanting to kind of be a mentor, wanting to be a big brother, whatever I could be, right? Because when I first came into college, when I started my freshman year of college, that was the summer leading into when I tore my ACL playing in an all-star game in PA. And a week later, I lost my dad. And so I came into college like kind of lost. Yeah. And if it wasn't for the community that I had, and I was really blessed to have community and have friends in such a way that have become my lifelong friends. They're my family now. We just celebrated the holidays with them at the time of this recording. And so I saw that, I experienced that, and I wanted to bring that into what I was doing in higher education. And from that, I started learning how to mentor people, how to build minds, how to encourage people to be more curious about their own professional development, self-development, and what they want to do with their life and how they want to go about building a strategy, not just going through the motions, not just saying, I'm going to get this degree and then graduate. And so from that, I really found this passion. And so once it was time for me to kind of step away and pursue that new thing, that itch, that passion, that fire never left. And so the Inspired House and Davis Inspired Solutions was really birthed out of how can I take care of my little brothers, my little sisters, my little nieces, nephews, whatever, my little mentees, right, that's still in college who need a Desmond, but I'm not there. And so I started showing up in a virtual space, right, which, by the way, nugget for people who are trying to figure out what to do, figure out where can you kind of show up with integrity, show up with a passion, but also show up with impact. Because I think sometimes we can be really passionate about things that we have no way of impacting because we haven't taken the time to build the skill. So find out where you can marry passion and impact, and you might be onto something. And so from that, I went ahead, started the YouTube channel, started making some videos and getting some traction. And from there, that's where it kind of evolved. We met up. You told me like, hey, I think this is a great opportunity to kind of really build and kind of help you go to that next level. And here we are. By this time, by the time of this recording, we'll be on season 2 of the Inspired House. We've, with all the guests that we have brought on so far, then in terms of who has been on, we probably have an overall, if this makes sense, net worth of well over $200 million shared between the people who have come on the show, right? So we're giving you folk like Evolve who have done this at like a high level. Yeah. And I just wanted to make these people approachable. I wanted to make these people obtainable, right? So that they can do what's in their heart, because I don't bring in folk who don't care about community. And so I was able to get people access to folk like Evolve and others who are able to kind of share and give those gems. And so that's really what we do social media wise, is just make knowledge, value, all those things obtainable, right? So that you can be your best self.
Yeah. And you do a great job with it. The show is really fun. Y'all, I got to go on and be interviewed, and it was just a good time. I think you I don't know if you do this. You probably do because you're a student of the game, but I watch a lot of interviewers because I'm trying to become a better interviewer, right? And you was getting your Oprah on. I have to admit, I give you that. You was giving your Oprah, or maybe even, you know what? I'll give you this because this is a person I feel like people don't praise enough, but was really good. But Montel, did you ever watch Montel?
Yes. Yes.
Montel was really good at getting into the nitty gritty and asking those follow up questions. And I even sometimes watch some of his stuff right now. So you was getting your Montel on. So I wanna ask you this question, Desmond, and I want you to be honest, but I want you to dream big. Mm-hmm. Right? Okay. Yeah. So for you, what is the end goal of this brand? Like, what is it doing in the next 5 to 10 years to change the world?
You want the honest answer?
Yes, of course.
Okay. So here's the end goal. And I'm happy this is recording. So 5 to 10 years from now, we can pull this back up. Davis Inspired Solutions is going to be a global recognized type of entity that will have multiple things under it. So we're going to have the Inspired House, but it'll no longer be Inspired House Podcast. It'll be the Inspired House Network, where we're going to give platforms and opportunities to other folk who want to impact communities, who want to build change. Addition to that, we are also going to be having our, what I would call the Act 17.6 company. That's going to be all about putting together branding, social media services for like churches and nonprofits, and making it so that they can be way better in their communities, because that's what informed me in my faith. I had my mom and my dad who were pastors, but like they were in the street. They weren't just sitting behind the pulpit, right? If something happened, they were calling Pastor Terry, Pastor Sheila, and they were showing up at Miss Johnson's house trying to figure out what's going on with Tyler. Or if there was something going on with police brutality, Reverend Davis and social worker Pastor Sheila were showing up with the community, and we finna straighten these things out. And so Act 17.6 is going to be what's going to be launching probably in the next year or so. That's going to help churches and help non-for-profits do a better job of community engagement and building that togetherness and building training and stuff specifically for people in the nonprofit space who have to kind of deal with those type of issues and challenges. And then lastly, within 5 years, I'm definitely finna be retired from my full-time job, and I'm going to be able to really have this automated and really focus on the most important thing, which is my wife and my baby girl. And so those are kind of the pieces that I really see this brand going, where it's going to be showing up in different spaces and places and serving as a trailblazer. Because what I've come to learn from you and from my other coaches, I'm not afraid of whether I'm the first or not. I'm going to make sure I'm presenting myself like I'm the first. I'm going to make sure that I'm innovative in what I do. And I'm going to make sure that I'm not afraid to collab and put myself out there. Because oftentimes you're not going to find success if you're not willing to put yourself out there. So that's a little bit of where the 5-year plan and stuff is. There's other parts of the plan, but that's on Valerie's side. And I promised that I would keep that close to the chest until we're ready to release that. And so that's kind of all I can tell you right now.
All right. I can't wait to see it manifest, family. Like, it's going to be bomb. And I'm excited to be a part of your journey. So I know you got places to go, people to see, and bills to pay. So I'm going to ask you one more question, and then I want you to share with the audience after this question how they can, get their support from you. If someone's watching this right now and they're like, you know what, I'm inspired, I want to be a speaker, I want to be a consultant, I want to join S4P, what's one reason that you would suggest that they join?
The challenge isn't answering that. The challenge is only giving one answer. Right. And again, like, I'm not one. So one, I'm not a yes man. I'm not a brown noser. I'm not one of those things. I give honor where honor is due. And I think, honestly, Coach E, I feel like with the S4P, you kind of undersold, if I can be honest with you, all of what we get with the program. Besides the weekly coaching calls in the community, the curriculum and the catalog of what you get. Is it okay if I name some of them?
Yeah, go for it.
Okay. Yo, people, Coach E has us working on not just our business budget, but our personal budget and our family budget. Doing some psychology, working on our association and our psychology and our relationship with money. Working on, of course, the business side of, okay, what do you need per month to reach this type of goal? How does that need to work and everything else? And all like crossing the T's and dotting the I's and all the nuts and bolts of having a successful speaking business. But why I went in there was because of you. Why I stayed was you take the time to build people up holistically. And the crux of the conversation isn't, hey, how's your speaking going? Hey, are you uploading? But it's a real connection in terms of family in that holistic piece. And so I think with S for P, you get so much of that. You get the how to be a better speaker, how to put together a presentation, how to drafting, how to create and draft and sell your signature talk. But then you also get, yo, you're making this money. We need to address what's your budget look like? Do you have a business budget? Do you have a business bank account? What are you doing? How are you going about putting yourself out there? When is it the right time to bring people on? What does your LinkedIn presence look like? Is your LinkedIn optimized, right? And because of time, I can't even go into detail about all the different people and all the different businesses and entities that are outside of Speak for Profit that you include and connect us to so that we become this well-oiled machine of a business. And I just wasn't fully expecting it's not I wasn't expecting, I didn't see all of that. And it's almost like you kind of just you over delivered and you're like, oh, I get this and this and this, right? And so I think it's really hard to put into one space, but I think if I had to summarize it into one, it's just you work to make us holistically better entrepreneurs. And I think that would be the best way I could describe it. And you know I'm long-winded, so that's the best I got. I'm sorry.
Attention public speakers, coaches, and consultants. Ever dreamt of booking 5-figure speaking and consulting contracts? In just 5 days, I'm teaching my tried and tested system to elevate your speaking and consulting business. Forget the cold emails, bypass the salesy pitches. This challenge is about building genuine high-value connections. And here's a promise I have for you. With a commitment of just 1 to 2 hours a day for 5 days, you're going to witness transformative results. On day 1, you'll learn how to craft a business strategy without cold emails or paying to speak. Day 2 is all about you redefining your profile to attract decision makers ready to invest in your expertise. By day 3, you'll have your very own 5-figure sales system to turn contacts into clients. By day 4, we will have you automating your funnel with proven templates and scripts. And day 5, I'm going to teach you how to master the art of discovery calls with a step-by-step checklist and exclusive 5-figure sales secrets. Whether you're just stepping onto the speaking scene or you're a seasoned pro, this challenge is tailor-made for you. I'm going to teach you the exact strategies that have helped me help my clients make over $2 million in the last 2 years. The journey to a thriving 5-figure speaking and consulting business begins with this challenge. So are you ready to redefine your limits, accelerate your growth, and bask in the limelight of your success? I want you to join the 5 Days to 5-Figure Speaking Challenge now. Let's rewrite your success story together. Simply head over to speakingforprofit.com. You're going to click that button that says 5 Days to 5-Figure Speaking Gigs so you can get started with the challenge. Can't wait to see you there. All right. Now back to the show. Thank you so much, Desmond. And that's good information for me, right? Because I always want to over deliver and I want y'all to be good entrepreneurs. I live by the hit by the bus syndrome. So if something happened to me tomorrow, knock on wood, because it ain't, I'm about to be here for a long time and a good time. I just want to make sure that I've left as much as I can, right? And I hope that everyone who's creating a product, a business, that's what it's about, because the money gonna come, y'all. Money gonna come, it's gonna go, it's energy. But if you create shitty products and shitty relationships, that's what the byproduct of it will be. So you got to be really into it. So how can folks support your business right now? Like what are some things that they can get from you? How can they join your community? Tell us a little bit about that so we can make sure we include some in the show notes for them.
Oh, facts. Thank you. So one of the things you can do is always follow our social media. Instagram, it's at Des Inspired. YouTube, it's youtube.com/@theinspiredhouse. If you want to learn more about speaking or workshops with me and my team, you can go to davisinspired.com. And there we have our offerings. We also have some products like one of my ebooks, the Be the Brand ebook that helps people. Literally, if you notice, and hopefully I was able to present that I have a pretty sound sense of what I'm called to do, how I'm going to operate in it. And it's because I have clarity, right? It's because I have people around me, and I have folk like Coach Evolve who has helped me along the way. But before I had those people, I had a vision of what I really wanted to achieve. And what I did was I took those concepts, I took those principles and frameworks that I also use for coaching that you can find in the davisinspired.com, and I put that into an ebook. So you can find those type of products there. And also in the link in the descriptions, we're also going to be launching a course for people that, because it's the Speak for Profit family and folk who are watching who are hopefully really taking in the great material that's with Speak for Profit. If you go to the link, type in S for P, you'll be able to get $5 off. You can be a part and do this course. Well, I'll show you how to do the whole clarity thing. And you'll basically get 2 coaching courses. That'll be the equivalent of like working with me and having these questions and getting all the things that I help these businesses, organizations, local government agencies get. I'll do that with you. And you can unlock that course there, and you can find that in the show notes. And ultimately, we just want people to be a part of the Inspired House, right? We call it a house because there's room enough for everybody. And, hopefully you come apart. Hopefully you become a part of what we got going on. And if you do, welcome home.
Oh, I love it. I love it. Thank you so much, Desmond. And thanks for always giving the S4P family a little bit of love. We really appreciate that. This has been an amazing interview. I'm really thankful to get to know more about you. And I can't wait to meet you in person. I hope you're able to make it out to our in-person event this year. I hope everyone has an amazing day. And until next time, peace.
Peace.